morning, everyone. Welcome to our session for examination preparation. This is for Certificate in Early Childhood Education. The subject is Early Childhood Learner Development and Learning. I am Aunisam, and I will be giving you just the summary of what is expected from you and what you need to focus on for your study. And it does not mean that you shouldn't study any other things that is in your study guide if it's not presented here. So here we are just presenting the main topic and the main areas that you need to focus on. However, you still need to study any other things that is in your study guide. So welcome to the presentation of this subject. I hope you will enjoy your study and that you will be successful in this. You have to contact me during working hours from 17:30 to 19:30. That's the time you can contact me. You can call, you can SMS, or you can send me an email. I have put the details on the presentations already. I'm more willing to assist you in anything, and I will advise you that you study well in advance, because in most cases you study on the last minute and you will not understand everything. And because studying needs you to understand, to go deeper, and just not for rote learning. You don't just need to study to memorize for you to pass. You need to study so that you can understand what is going on. General information that I want you to look at is that in most cases what you do, you don't get what is the verb. The verb of the question, you don't get it, and the verb for when a question is asking you to discuss, in most cases you just list information. When it's asking you to list, you are discussing. You need to pay attention to the verbs. You need to pay attention to what exactly is this question asking me to do. So you need to understand the common verbs like define, what does it mean, describe, explain, and so on. We are not going to go through them here, but I just want you to pay more attention to them. And also for you to understand at what level is this question is asking. Is it at level 1 or level 2, for example? You need to compare, you need to determine, to differentiate. That's another level. Then we have level 3, where you have to contrast, to argue, and so on. So you need to understand exactly what the question is asking, not just for the sake of putting everything there, but you need to put it there with understanding. Understanding is the most important thing, because what happens is that in most cases you just write. You just see challenges in education, you start writing, but you did not read the question whether it says discuss, or it says list, or it says what. So you really need to understand what exactly is the word, what exactly is the main word, main term in this, what is the main verb in this question. So you need to write neatly, so that sometimes people, when you don't understand something, you can always go to the next question first and come back to it, rather than just putting up everything or anything that comes to your mind. It doesn't give you marks just for writing things, but what gives you marks is for you when you're writing facts, when you're answering what has been asked. So examination format remains the same, 3 hours, which counts for 120 marks. So you answer all the questions, and you have your 3 hours to do that. All questions are compulsory. There is no multiple choice. It's the question that needs you to think. So marks are allocated accordingly, and they are allocated given well indicated per question. For chapter 1, I want you to look at how you should understand the concept. I want you to differentiate between what is development and what is growth. When people are talking about growth, what does it mean? When people are talking about development, what does it mean? Are they the same? Are they different? I want you to look at those meanings. The age and stage of human lifespan, because we said when a child is born, you go through different stage, you go through different lifespans. You need to understand at this stage what exactly is happening. At this stage, what exactly is happening. At this age, what exactly is happening. You need to understand that so that you know if somebody said at age, whatever is happening at what age, you should be able to choose that age, because you understand at what age does this happen, at what age does this happen. So the beginning of human lives, you also have to understand. You also understand the menstrual cycle, understand what happened at each stage. I also want you to go through pregnancy part and understand the whole process. What are the signs and what are the outcome? And you need to look at the antenatal care. What needs to be done when someone is pregnant? Why do we need antenatal care? The process and ways of giving birth, you also need to look at it. And the postnatal care, what needs to be done after birth, and what can be the possible complications if we don't pay attention. I also want you to look at the development taking place during the 40 weeks of pregnancy. So when you look at that and the development taking place during the infant's phase. So there are also development for toddler's phase, and we also have the development taking place during the preschooler phase. So you just have to go through and understand what exactly happens at each development stage. Growth and development depends on many factors. I also want you to look at those factors that affect development and growth. For example, the family, the parent size, and the shape. The cultural background also affect the way we grow. So the way somebody raised up in a certain culture can be different from another person raised up in a certain culture. And it also affects our growth, it also affects our development. And the age, the children grow faster as babies and teenage, general health, medical condition, illness, medications. For some babies maybe have illness and they will not grow faster as somebody who doesn't have. And the gender, the boys and girls also have different growth patterns. That's why you will find some say girls mature fast, or some will say boys mature fast. It depends. However, their growth is completely different. Their patterns is completely different. So the eating habits, how much you eat and what you eat, is also, it can also affect our development. Activity level, how active the child is, and so on. I also want you to look really at the stages of development. Those are the stages. We have infants, we have preschool years, we have middle childhood years, and we have adolescent. So you need to look at those stages and see what exactly happens at each stage, because those are the stage of development. So we have, for example, the pre-birth. At this stage, the development of human is potential only. So the child who has not yet been born could become anything else. So it's a pre-stage, it's a pre-birth stage where potential development of a human being is. So here is what we say: the child is not yet born and anything can happen. Depends on the health, depends on many factors that can affecting these development. So we also look at dying and death. Death is essential of all biological function that sustain a living organism. So meaning that when you are dead, nothing is living anymore. Nothing is being sustained. Nothing is being active. So then we have death, which is meaning death. Particularly, a death of a human being has commonly been considered as a sad and present occasion due to the fact that it affects people who are left behind, and the termination of social and familiar bonds by the deceased, because we miss this person's supposed to be here, the person was helpful, the person used to do this for us, and later on that person is no longer there. So the death can occur at any stage and does not necessarily occur after the old age. So a person can die young, a person can die when a child, a person can die in young life, adult life, old age, and so on. It can happen anytime, and it also depends on the cause of the death. Some died in accidents, some died because of illness, and so you just need to understand basics information about death. So we also have to look at preparing for pregnancy. We said we have menstruation cycle, which refer to change occur naturally in a woman body prepare for pregnancy. We have the term ovulations, which refers to the release of the mature egg from the ovary. During the follicle phase, the rise in a woman estrogen level causes gonadotropin and releasing of hormones to be released from the brain, from her brain. Pregnancy, also known as gestation, is the time during which one or more offerings is being developed inside a woman. So you need to understand, and the first and most common sign of periods or menstruation is that you need to understand the sign of pregnancy, like a person will be tired, constipation, the person will be hungry, the person will have pelvic skin pain, the person have back pain, nausea, breast tenderness. So maybe they can ask you just to mention some of the signs and symptoms of pregnancy, then you have the list there. Antenatal care importance. It's very important for you to have the antenatal care, because it can prevent complications such as hypertension and diabetes. And early diagnosis means that they can properly monitor and be treated, because in nowadays doctor can see if there's something wrong with the baby inside. So it can properly be monitored and be treated earlier. It provides caregivers with opportunity to explain the importance, and it's also a proper nutrition during pregnancy and breastfeeding expecting mothers. So expecting mothers have to go through antenatal care, because they need to get information of what to eat and about breastfeeding and so on. It helps expecting parents also to gain insight and get fact-based information on pregnancy, on birth-giving option, whether you need to give it natural or C-section or and so on. Caring for a new baby so that they can make informed decision. It's very important when people are going for antenatal care, because they are given information for them to make informed decision. Give partners opportunity to understand the whole process of pregnancy, birth, and early parenting. Because if both parents are going there, they will have that opportunity to understand the process, to understand way of giving birth, to understand early parenting. It's also bound, kind of bonding the parents together, kind of giving them that bond of what is expected. So the terms that I want you also to have a look at is the terms like conception, which is the process of becoming pregnant involving fertilization or implantation or both. We have ovulations, generally occur about 2 weeks before a woman's next period begins. And we have, on average, fertilization that occurs about 2 weeks after the last menstrual period. So when a sperm penetrates the egg, change occurs in the protein coating around it to prevent other sperms from entering. So at the moment of fertilization, a baby's genetic makeup is complete, including its sex. So whether the baby will be a girl or a boy. So, and in Unit 2, I want you to look at the facts that influence physical growth and health of young children, and the importance of health in development of a child. So we are looking at the genetic, nutrition, illness, injuries, environment, and behavior. And when I'm listing those factors, I want you to understand them, what each factor contributes to growth, what each factor contributes to child development, what are the genetics has to do with child growth and development, what are the nutrition has to do with it, what are the illness, what are the injury has to do with it, and environment and behavior. I also want you to look at factors that influence child social and emotional well-being, positive and caring relationship, secure attachments, consistency, the goodness of food methods, nutrition, nurturing environment, and so on. Continue on page 89 because they are all information there. The impact of parents' attitudes on cognitive and emotional development. I want you to look at how their parents' attitudes can contribute to parents' the child's emotional, cognitive, and social development. So how do our attitudes as parents can contribute to our children cognitive, to our children emotional, to our children social development? So supportive parenting, what does it say? What good parents response and raving can do to our cognitive and emotional development. Involve their children, but they are also firm and set clear boundaries. We also have the core components of good parenting, warm, structure, expectation, and so on. I want you to look at how our attitudes as parents can influence developments in different ways, like cognitive, emotional, and social development. The following are also some consequences of supportive parenting. I want you to look at what are the consequences of supportive parenting. Strengthening parents' bonds. It's easier for children to understand because the moment your mother, your father listen to you, it's more easier for you to understand. It encourages communication. If parents understand and support their children, it encourages their children to communicate with them, and it's also easier for them to understand their children better. Helps them to develop into happy, healthy adults. So, and we also have negative parenting, authoritarian parenting style, permissive with different parenting, manipulative parenting, overindulging, and inconsistent parenting, neglect, overcorrecting, overprotecting, toughening up, overindulgence, spoiling. So those are negative parenting ways, but you need to look at them and understand what are they. When somebody is saying this parent always neglect or is overcorrecting or is overprotecting, what does it say? So what does it mean? And I also want you to look at adjustment problems, which include withdrawal, depression, self-injury, obsession, self-rejection, drug, school rejection, drug, and substance abuse, distraction, and cooperative and behavioral problems. So adjustment problems, this has to do with, for example, if a child has to readjust to a new environment, a new system. Contributing factor to become maladjusted. So school, society, and families, how do they contribute to us being maladjusted to the environment? The common characteristic of maladjusted children in a family, they have all those characteristics of being rebellious against parents, staying out late, even absconding from home, siblings, rival, and the being indifferent, concerned, and need their families. So these are just some of the common characteristics of maladjusted child when it comes to family, and we also have them at school. How do they behave at school? Those are the behavior at school. For example, disregarding school disciplines, school regulations, influencing other classmates to follow them by breaking the news very often, being empathetic towards school activity, and their way, word behavior might not be accepted by their fellow learners. Then we have toxic stress excludes the following. Toxic stress includes the following. What is toxic stress? That will be prolonged kind of when you are forever stressed, and that stress is just not for a day. It goes on and on. So this has to do with maybe a death of a family member, conflict in the family, domestic violence, divorce at home, prolonged illness, or neglect, emotional and physical abuse, excessive has parenting. All those ones can cause toxic stress. Okay, then we look at styles of attachment. We have secure, avoidant attachment, resistant attachment, and disorganized or disoriented attachment. You need to understand what secure attachment is like. The child feels positive and loved. Then we have avoidant attachment where a child feels unloved and rejected. Resistant attachment whereby a child feels angry and confused. And disorganized attachment where a child feels great insecurity and show confused and contradictory behavior. Then we have parents can ensure secure attachment, because we say at secure attachment we feel loved, we feel being part of the family, being part of that parent, of those parents. So how do we make parents, how do we secure attachment with children? We build trust, we recognize children's uniqueness, we are not there to compare them with everyone. We recognize consistency, we be consistent, we have timing, we have affection, we praise them when they do well, we create boundaries of what needs to be done and what not need to be done. We listen to them, we laugh with them, we provide balance in parenting, and we also give them unconditional love. So we also have factors of self-image, factors as self-image as a factor affecting early childhood development. So in most cases, we don't love ourselves because this is what happened to us. So lack of self-confidence, timed behavior, absence assertiveness, pretending what they are not, non-conformities, and antisocial behavior, lack of generosity, and rebellious behavior. Those are some of the factors that can affect our self-image. And a good self-esteem helps a child to develop positive ability, such as to believe in themselves. Individual positive self-esteem don't have difficulty in modifying their belief. They being able to make choices. They are not living in the past or the future, not worried about what if. So, and believing in their capacity to solve problems and adjust future failures. And participating in will enjoy many activities and hobbies, believes that they are variable and that others will enjoy spending time with them, resisting manipulation from others, and accept and abide by social norms, considering themselves self-worthy and equal. They are not there to compete with other people. And in Unit 3, I would like you to understand the physical skills, cognitive, developmental language, emotional, social, and self-esteem. So moral development, religious, creative development, aesthetic development, and sexual development. I want you to understand all those types of developments for you to know which development deals with what. There are several factors that influence self-esteem. This include the age, the gender, socio-economic status, the body image. For example, a lot of people are doing body shaming with other people, which is very wrong, and it affects our self-esteem. And in Unit 4, I want you to look at early childhood learning. What observation is all about? What is imitating is all about? What is practicing all about? Guided discovery, questioning, and working. So you need to understand all those points, and you need to know what is happening at every stage. Guided discovery does the following. It triggers curiosity, it personalized learning, powerful motivator, enrich prior knowledge, encourage sweet feedback, develop episodic memories. You need to understand what is this triggers curiosity is all about. Personal learning is all about powerful motivator. And when we are talking about develop episodic memories, what are the episodic memories that we are talking about? And encouraging children to do household and classroom jobs have many benefits. When we are encouraging them to do household jobs, work, it has some benefits. So those are the benefits that we are talking about. They will learn to be independent. They will learn to respect and value their gifts. Children are trained to take care of their books, toys, and personal items. And they learn to be good stewards and of environments and learn basic skills because they are not expecting anyone just to do things for them. The benefits continue to say they learn to be responsible, because if you are saying do this for yourself, you will become responsible. Even if your parents are not around, so you can still do things on your own. They learn to value themselves and others. And they learn to value serving others because you are doing something. You learn to value and serve other people. They learn that they can do something worthwhile. And we also have factors that influence learning in early years, like parental interactors, protection and care, health, nutrition, learning environment, uniqueness, play and explore, speech and language development, social interaction. These are all factors that are likely to influence learning, and you should understand how. How do you stimulate the children's brain? You need to play with them, you need to talk with them, you need to create art with them, music, exercise, love, nutrition, and give them time to sleep as well. It stimulates their brain. The role of crowing and talking in learning. Why do we need these learners to do a lot of physical crowing and so on? Because it's physical coordination and strength, tactical skills and visual skills, and efficient navigation, special and understanding. Is for self-confidence when this child is trying it on. And it's also for talking, because it starts from that point and it's moved to another level. In Unit 5, I would like you to look at the importance of play. Why do we have learners, our children need to play with one another? The activity engaged in by children both it stimulates and influence the pattern of connection made between the nerves, because when you are playing, you are also connecting with the brain because it tells you what to do next. This process influences the development of fine and gross motor skills, language, because they also need to talk, they need to socialize. It also helps them to socialize with other people, and personal awareness that I can do this, I can't do this, my strength and my weakness, emotional well-being. It creates also creativity and social problems and learning. Play can also help children to be active and make choices and practice action for mastery. It helps to build self-worth and by giving a child a sense of own ability and to feel good about themselves. When they're playing, they feel good about themselves. They help them to develop ability also to concentrate, because if they're having a game, the game is also way of stimulate their minds and being able to concentrate. Category of children play, you need to understand those categories: discovery, manipulative play, constructive play, fantasy and pretending play, motor physical skill play, and games with rules. So when you are asked what each one is all about, you should be able to explain. And stage of play: unoccupied, solitary play, unlocked play, parallel play, associative play, and cooperative play, and social play. You need to understand all those stages for you to know better. The values of play in the following. Why do we need play in physical development? Why do we need to play for cognitive development? And why do we need to play for language development? So Unit 6 will look at the influence of postural ability and learning style on early child learning. And Unit 7, we just have to look at how technology stimulates early learning, because we were exposed more even now for virtual learning, because learners were not at school during COVID breakdown and COVID lockdown and so on. So virtual learning, technology, how does it simulate early learning? What type of technological activity can you give to children at early age? So what do children need to do with technology? And at Unit 8, I just want you to look at the issue of inclusive and special education needs. What is inclusive education is all about, what is special education is all about, and what are the challenges when we are implementing inclusive, when we are implementing special education. What are the challenges the school might face? So you need to understand the principle that guide quality inclusive education. Children belongs, or children learn from different ways, and it's every child's right to be included in school. So I also want you to look at the benefits of inclusive education. Why do we need inclusive education in our schools? Why does our education system need us to have an inclusive education? Why inclusivity? So those are the reasons, like to develop individual strength and gift, work on individual goals, classroom with other children of their own age. We don't say you can't. We involve parents, we involve everyone. Every child must be able to learn. So I also would like you to look at contributing factor of HIV and AIDS, and what are the contributing factors, and children whose parents had or have AIDS, how does it affect them at school, and children who are having AIDS, so how does it affect them, and as well as teachers, how does it affect their learning, how does it affect the process of learning. So I want you to look at barriers of implementing inclusive education. What are the difficulties? What is that make implementation of inclusive education difficulties? So we have attitudinal barriers, where it's about attitudes. People don't want to accept things. It's hard to change people's beliefs. Physical barriers, for example, distance to schools. If a child is on a wheelchair, for example, inappropriate curriculum, which is not appropriate for the system, and untrained teachers. Teachers are not trained to accommodate learners with different abilities, and poor organization of the education system can also be another factor. Then we have policies which say do this and later on it says this. We have lack of adequate opportunity and time for good collaboration, and we also have lack of support from parents. Some parents don't even mind whether the child goes to school or not. Special needs education experience in early childhood is like you identify them, who are the gifted children, their characteristics, and identify professions who can provide support to learners dealing with special needs. What are the people? Who are the gifted children? What are their characteristics? You need to get that. And who can support them? So good luck for your examination. And that is my email, sam@yahoo.com. You use it in small caps. And my cell phone is 081-233-6112. I wish you all the best for your examination. Feel free to call when you don't understand something. And all the best. I thank you.